everyone, welcome back to my channel where I integrate insights from research, pop culture, and the Bible to help you bring your full self to work. I am really excited about this because right now I am going to answer some questions from you. It's really important to me to have a continuous conversation with you, my brilliant AF crew, and if you haven't joined just yet, it's super easy. All you need to do is subscribe. So the first question is, have you always been such a great speaker and communicator? Or was this something that you struggled with? Well, I think that this is definitely a skill that I have been able to nurture over time. If you haven't joined the book, I've actually been continuously trying to refine how I'm communicating, and being a YouTuber has really helped me in this journey. But I really appreciate that you're noticing because I work really hard to try to figure out how I can best communicate in a way that's authentic to me and clear. This is a skill that I'm continuously working on, and I think that anybody can get to a point where they can build their confidence to speak in any room. So the next question is about the MBA, which is my favorite degree just yet. Could you talk a little bit about the initial value you saw in an MBA when you were applying for it versus the value you got out of it? So for me, when I was looking at jobs that I really wanted, I noticed a consistent trend. They wanted me to have an MBA and consulting experience. So for me, I knew that an MBA was in my future. I really saw it as a way for me to get access to doors that were previously closed to me, and I really thought that it would help me with my leadership skills and help me with my business acumen along the way. So the good news is business school did all of that and so much more. For me, I figured out what it felt to actually thrive in an environment, and I was very much committed not to revert back when I went back to the corporate spaces. Also, it showed me another career path that I wanted to engage in becoming a professor. So I really do think that the MBA, not only because of the financial benefits that you get from it, but also just that time to really think about your purpose and how best to use your career as a vehicle for your purpose, makes me think the MBA has the highest return on investment that you can ever have on a graduate degree. But you know, you have to see it for yourself if that works for you. Okay, so the next question is, how do you think your YouTube channel and content are going to change over time? Do you think this is a side project or might become your main thing? Well, it's really up to you if it's gonna become my main thing. I really enjoy finding ways to bring research in a way that's really approachable, because I think that there's so much knowledge that's been created that it gets trapped into papers that are very hard to dedicate time to read. And so I think the more that I get better at understanding and distilling research, the better this channel will be, because a lot of scholars have done a lot of work that's going to help us all create better work experiences and become better leaders. I started this journey doing a lot more GRE content, and I'm not completely done with GRE content, but now that I don't have to take it anymore, naturally I have less content here. So similarly, I am going to have a lot of content in grad school, the MBA and the PhD, but once I graduate from my PhD program, that will probably sunset a little bit. One thing that will stay consistent is this stream of content that really integrates knowledge from research, the Bible, and pop culture, because I mean, I'm always gonna love Shonda Rhimes, and whatever she touches, I'm going to definitely get stronger in my faith, and I'm gonna get stronger in my ability to really read, consume, and distill academic research so I can give value to you. Speaking of GRE, there's a couple of questions on the GREs, so let's go into it. How do we understand the context of a verbal question? It's really hard. Well, it can be hard, especially if English is not your first language. So I do empathize that this is a really, really tough charge. I think the best thing to do is compare your performance on a practice test. Look at the questions you got wrong and look at the right answer and try to see if you can map the right answer to the prompt that you read, and try to map why you thought the wrong answer was the right answer. Once you do that, you're going to be able to compare the logic and get better at understanding the right kind of logic. So the other question I have on the GRE is, how much time do I have to spend daily for verbal? That is up to you. And I have said in some previous videos, I'll link up here, that it's probably going to be good if you pace yourself. I think about 2 hours a day during the weekday is definitely a good amount of time to study for the GRE. And then usually what I did was have a 4 or 5 hour block on the weekends. That's just because you have to really pace yourself, and I think that there's diminishing returns on doing 10, 12-hour study days because your brain can only absorb so much. I'm my own worst critic. I have an idea, think about it, and then I get into my own head. What advice could you give to just keep going? I think you answered it, really. I very much try to remind myself that I don't ever want to shut the door in my own face. And I hope that that resonates with you as well. There's plenty of people that will reject us in this world. We don't have to be one of them. In fact, I think that it's most important that we go about life at least being willing to try and experiment with ways to get to what we want. And I think it's also really important to realize that even if we get a door shut on our face one time, it doesn't mean that it's shut forever. And so it's really important for us to kind of build that resilience needed to kind of make it. Because life, I don't know if you noticed in the last 2 years, life is kind of rocky sometimes. And it's a marvel that we as humans are able to adapt some pretty gnarly situations. So just know that a rejection or failure or anything of the sort is not really going to keep you down for any longer than you're going to let it. The last question is about purpose. How do you think throughout your career you've refined or switched your purpose? How did you figure that out along the way? I think one of the best things you can do, and the best thing I did to find my purpose, was a lot of reflections. Specifically, keep track of the things that are like I like to call them heart racers, like the things that you could do forever, that time seems to melt away whenever you're doing it. And then on the other side, I think it's really important to reflect on what I think I'll just call them the heartbreakers, like the things that like make you miserable. Because when you take inventory of those things, you're going to be able to cite patterns. For me, I just loved being able to teach and be able to create new connections between things that are kind of not obviously connected. And for me, that really translated into what I like to think my purpose is, to unlock possibilities and help others do the same. That way I've been able to use my different kind of careers as vehicles to do just that. Whether I wanted to pursue journalism or the entertainment industry or consulting and now academia. So I want to encourage you to just keep an open eye towards what are the things that get you excited, because you don't have to have everything figured out. Look at my LinkedIn and you can see all of the different stops that I've made throughout my career. And even though it seems like it's a lot, not all of them were super intentional, and yet I literally use every single one of those experiences in my current career. Like, that's the most amazing thing. Like I've said before in another video, that there's no such thing as a wasted experience, because if you're using the right tools to actually analyze them and reflect on them, there's going to be a lot of value that you can extract from it, no matter where you are. So I really appreciate having this time with you all. I'm really excited to do more of these. If you ever have a question, please feel free to leave it in the comments below, and then I will catch you in the next video.